Jeremy Clarkson just posted something that farmers across Britain have been quietly dreading for months. No jokes this time. No sarcasm about tractors or council planning disputes. Just a screenshot of a weather forecast and 6 words underneath it that summed up an entire year of work. Harvest already messed up. May as well just enjoy it now. That's it. That's the caption. And if you followed Diddley Squat Farm for any length of time, you'll know that when Clarkson stops joking, that's usually when things are actually bad. Because here's the thing, this isn't a one-off bad week. This is the 5th heat wave to hit the UK in 2026 alone, and it's landing on a farm that, according to official weather records, has just come through its driest July since records began. So today, we're going to break down exactly what happened, why it matters way beyond one farmer's Instagram post, and why Diddley Squat seems to lurch from one crisis to the next. Because this heat wave is really just the latest chapter in a much longer story. Let's start with the facts, because there's a lot of noise around this story already. On Sunday night, Clarkson shared a screenshot of the BBC weather forecast for Chipping Norton, the Oxfordshire town nearest to his 1,000-acre farm. The forecast showed temperatures pushing 29 degrees Celsius that day, with projections climbing as high as 33 degrees over the following week. For most people, that sounds like a nice stretch of summer. For a working arable farm, it's closer to a slow-motion disaster. Alongside the screenshot, Clarkson didn't hold back. He said the harvest was already ruined, and that at this point, he might as well just enjoy the sunshine because there was nothing left to save. It's blunt, it's a little bitter, and it's very Clarkson. But underneath the attitude is a genuinely serious admission from someone who's been farming this land since 2019. Now, why does heat like this actually wreck a harvest? It's not just about plants getting too hot. Crops like wheat, barley, and oilseed rape, all of which Clarkson grows on Diddley Squat, depend on a fairly narrow window of soil moisture and temperature during their growing and ripening stages. Extended heat combined with a lack of rain causes what farmers call moisture stress. The plant essentially shuts down growth to conserve water, grain fills poorly, yields drop, and in worse cases, crops can fail outright before they're even ready to harvest. And this year, that stress didn't come out of nowhere. According to reporting following Clarkson's post, this past July was officially the driest since UK weather records began. Not the driest in a decade, not the driest this century, the driest ever recorded. That's not a talking point, that's a measurable climate data fact, and it's the real reason this heat wave is landing so hard. So when Clarkson posted that caption, he wasn't just reacting to one hot Sunday. He was reacting to the compounding effect of months of dry conditions finally catching up with the crop. Here's where the story becomes more than just a celebrity farmer venting online. In follow-up comments, Clarkson made a point that's worth sitting with. He said it's becoming almost impossible for farmers in the UK to actually make money from growing food right now, and that if that continues, more and more farmland is going to get converted to something other than farming. Solar panels, housing development, rewilding schemes, whatever pays the bills. His phrase for it was blunt. You can say goodbye to the traditional British countryside as people picture it. That's not a small claim, and it's not coming from nowhere either. Clarkson has actually been tracking this pattern publicly for a while now. Last August, he pointed out on social media that the weather had basically flipped from one extreme to the other, constant rain through 2024, and then almost no normal rainfall pattern going into 2025 and now 2026. For a farmer, that kind of volatility is arguably worse than a single bad season, because you can't plan around it. You can't rotate crops sensibly, you can't time planting, you can't budget for yield with any confidence. And this actually lines up with something Clarkson revealed earlier this year that a lot of casual viewers of the show missed. He'd already made the decision to leave around 200 acres of Diddley Squat completely unplanted. Not because he was being lazy, but because the economics and the weather risk simply didn't justify planting them. That's 200 acres out of a 1,000-acre farm sitting idle. Roughly a fifth of the entire operation taken out of production before this heat wave even hit. So when people see this Instagram post and think, oh, Clarkson's just complaining again, it's worth remembering. This is a guy who's had a 5-year crash course in commercial farming, on camera, with real financial stakes, and he's now telling his millions of followers that the system barely works anymore. That's not content. That's a warning dressed up as a caption. Now here's the part that really puts this heatwave update into context, because if you zoom out, Diddly Squat hasn't exactly had a smooth run lately. Just over a week before this heatwave post, Clarkson revealed that the farm had gone into lockdown after testing positive for bovine tuberculosis. In an interview, he described the process in a way that stuck with a lot of people. He said you get so used to the routine 6-monthly cattle tests that the risk starts to feel hypothetical, almost like it'll never actually happen to you. And then one day the vet looks up from the results and tells you it has. The consequences of that aren't small either. A bovine TB positive result means the farm can't buy or sell cattle for a minimum of 2 months while further testing is carried out. One of the infected animals, pregnant with twins, was facing compulsory culling. And in the same rough window of time, Clarkson also mentioned losing one of 11 newborn puppies overnight, unrelated to the TB outbreak, but still another gut punch on top of everything else. His own words summed up the mood. Farming, this week, just wasn't something he was enjoying. And this isn't even the farm's first heatwave casualty. Go back further, and there was a previous heatwave season where Clarkson revealed one of his pigs had died from the heat, an incident that also came with its own controversy. After an earlier comment he made about extreme heat in France was criticized as downplaying how serious the conditions actually were at the time. He later